Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining the virtual Canadian job fair today. Joining me now is Lisa for the last round of sessions that we have before our panel at 3:30. Lisa is the founder of Career Balance Coaching and a co-host of the Career Builders podcast. She is a certified professional coach, ACC certified through the International Coach Federation, and a former CPA who felt there was something missing in her career. She undertook a journey of self and career discovery to find that missing piece, and now is on a mission to help other high-achieving professionals to do the same. Thank you so much, Lisa, for your presentation today. And I just want to encourage everyone to post as many questions as possible in the chat for Lisa to answer. And yeah, that's about it. So good luck on your presentation. And thanks again, everyone, for joining us.
Thanks, Sandra. All right. Hi, everyone. I just want to thank Toronto Jobs so much for having me today. I'm really excited to be doing this presentation on a topic that is so close to my heart, mastering the job change cycle. And I've just posted in the chat. I'd love to hear about what kind of job you're looking for right now and where you're from as well. So feel free to post that in the chat as well. All right. So we might as well dive in here. The topic today is mastering the job change cycle. And really what that means is understanding the 6 phases of the job change cycle to become a master at shifting in your career. I'm Lisa Plain. I'm a career discovery expert. And as Sandra said, the founder of Career Balance Coaching, a co-host on the Career Builders podcast as well. I'm also a CPA and a certified professional coach. And I made a pretty big transition in my own career about 3.5, almost 4 years ago now. And I'm really enjoying it, but it can be challenging as you're going through it. I'm a new mom. I gave birth to a beautiful baby boy in June. And I mean, this topic is really close to my heart because I have held over 20 jobs in my career so far. I've attended hundreds of interviews and I've worked with hundreds of career changers as well. So I really love this topic for you to get an understanding of what the 6 phases are and how you can apply them to find success in your career. As Sandra mentioned, my mission is to increase work satisfaction. When I was working in the corporate world, I found that there was a lot of dissatisfaction, and it really, work takes up so much of our day and so much of our life that it's really important that you find something that is fulfilling and satisfying for you. So I feel like these 6 phases of the job change cycle really can help you to find that satisfaction and fulfillment. So the agenda for the day, we're going to talk about what the job change cycle is. We're going to talk about the benefits of mastering the process. We are going to go through each of the 6 phases, and then we're going to do a quick exercise at the end. So please feel free to, again, type into the chat what kind of job you're looking for and where you're from, and then also any questions that you have as we're going along. So what is the job change cycle? The job change cycle is composed of 6 different phases, and each phase basically leads to the next one. So the first one is discovery. Second is personal branding. Third is job search strategy, interviewing. Then we're going into offer negotiation and acceptance and the first 90 days. And there's a little bonus of learning and growth. So once you've actually gotten into the job, you've passed those first 90 days, and then you want to continue challenging yourself and continuing to grow so that you're ready when you move into the transition again and start back at discovery. So I'm going to be going into detail on what each of these phases is, what the purpose of each of the phases is, and how to really master each phase. So why do you need to master the job change cycle? You are pretty likely to go through a number of job changes throughout your career, which can be really challenging. So being able to make this process a little bit easier on yourself is very important. And once you master it, you also find it a lot less stressful. Changing jobs can be very stressful, and there are a lot of unknowns. So understanding the cycle means knowing what to expect, and knowing what to expect decreases the amount of stress that you have and how much worry you have in the job change cycle. It also helps you to figure out what is within your control, because there are a lot of things within the job change cycle that are outside of your control. You can't control if somebody's going to hire you, but you can control the activities that lead to somebody hiring you. So each of these phases will help you to figure out what's within your control. This applies to a new job at a new company or a promotion or a job change within a company. And it increases confidence and the ability to sell yourself, especially if you go through each of the steps, because sometimes people will leave one of the phases behind or forget about it. But going through each of them will help you to increase your confidence and sell yourself. Hello, Mustafa. Great to see you. Okay, so there are 4 key themes to mastering the job change cycle. Number 1 is to know your value. Number 2 is to ask for what you want. Number 3 is to be curious. And number 4 is to set goals. So as we're going through each of the phases, keep this in mind so that you can look at it with a critical eye and say, do I know my value in this phase? Am I asking for what I want in this phase? Am I being curious? And have I set goals for myself? All right, so the first phase is discovery. And the purpose of this phase is to clarify what you're looking for as well as what you have to offer. So this is a little bit of self-discovery as well as a little bit of career discovery. And doing this in the first phase is really, really important because it basically sets the foundation for all of the phases to come. A lot of people skip this phase and it's to their detriment because unless you know exactly what you're targeting and who you're, like the audience that you're targeting, it can be really difficult to tailor your materials, including your resume and your cover letter, as well as your interviewing answers to that audience. It's also really important to help you to understand your own skills and your own needs. So how can you sell yourself if you don't understand your value? So the method here is to ask yourself a number of really important questions. Number 1, what do I want? What do I want to do? Sorry. And this is the tasks. So on a day-to-day, do you want to be working with your hands? Do you want to be working on a computer? What are things that you enjoy? What are things that you don't enjoy? And if there are things that really decrease your energy throughout the day, they're probably not things that you want to be doing on a daily basis. The second question is, what is my why? So when we talk about why, we're talking about your mission and vision. Now, it can be difficult to understand your why for your entire career. So I recommend thinking in the next 3 to 5 years. And the purpose of that really is once you know your mission. So your mission is, what am I going to do in this next role? What do I want to accomplish? And then your vision is, how am I going to accomplish this? What is it going to look like? What is it going to feel like? And once you have that mission and vision, again, it's a lot easier to pare down and figure out what it is that you really want, where you want to apply, and how to sell yourself. What do I have to offer? What is your unique selling proposition? What makes you different from the other people who are applying to the job? And when you think about this, ask yourself, what do my friends and family love about me? What kind of compliments have I received from past coworkers? The next question is, who do I want to work for? What type of company? What do I want the leadership to look like? What do I want my boss to look like? The next question is, where do I want to work? So thinking about environment, I know that remote work can be a big topic these days, but not everybody wants to work remotely. Some people want to be in the office and having interactions with other people. And then finally, do I need any additional skills? So now that you've clarified what you want and what you have to offer, it's important to think about, what else do I need to achieve, or what other skills do I need in order to be successful at this next role? So once you've gone through this process, you're going to have a really clear idea of your personal brand, which leads us to the next phase, which is personal branding. And the purpose of personal branding is to understand and create a positive perception of you and your work. Now, if you think about branding in the concept of, an Apple product or Microsoft, those are brands, and the brands are made up of different competencies, differentiators, personality, attitudes, as well as values. So you want to clarify that for yourself as well. What is my brand? What are my competencies? What are my differentiators? What is my personality? What attitudes do I bring to the table? And what are my values? Now, once you've determined what your brand is and what you want that to look like, there are ways to showcase your brand. So number 1 is pretty basic, the materials, your resume, your cover letter, your portfolio. Your portfolio is something that not everybody needs. If you're in a creative area, it might be especially helpful, but it can also be something that you just build over your last couple of jobs. So, keeping documents that you've done really well on, keeping emails from past coworkers or bosses saying that you've done a great job, anything that can showcase why you'll be a great fit for your future company goes into a portfolio. The second thing is your online presence. So your brand can come across in your LinkedIn or your Twitter, if you're using Twitter for networking or for selling yourself. Your online presence, though, also goes across other types of social media. So you want to be really sure that once you've created your brand, that everything that you do that people can find online aligns with that. The last part is communication, and this could be email outreach or messaging on social media platforms. but you want to think about the tone. So going back to attitudes and personality, how do you want to show up? How do you want people to perceive you? And as you're about to send out a message, ask yourself, does this message align with that personal brand that I'm trying to create? And if the answer is yes, then go ahead and send it. If not, you might want to tweak it a little bit. So once you've created your materials and you've created your brand, then you can move into the job search strategy. And the purpose of this is to create an intentional plan for approaching your job search, which helps you to feel less scattered. A strategy is a collection of tactics or actions that are going to lead you toward the job that you want. So just sending out applications en masse is not really going to help you very much. But if you actually have a strategy of the different areas that I'm going to talk about in just a second, it can really help you to be targeted, to not waste your time on things that are not important to you, and also choose activities that are value add. There's a lot of activities that you can do in the job searching that isn't necessarily the most beneficial for you. It's more just spending time doing them. So my recommendation is to have a 6-part strategy. So number one, you need to set some goals for yourself and keep track of them. This can be daily or weekly goals. They could also be monthly, but I still recommend having daily or weekly goals. So this could be the number of applications you're sending out. This could be networking and all of these things that we're going to talk about. So figure out what it is that you want to be tracking and what type of goals you want to set for yourself, and then keep yourself to that. So the second part of the strategy is online applications. So online applications can be, things like LinkedIn, Indeed, anything like that. And it's important to automate that as much as possible. It's such an important part and necessary for any jobs that you end up applying for. But the other activities that you end up doing are probably higher value in terms of where you spend your time. Number 3, as part of the strategy, is networking. And they say that between 70 and 80% of jobs are obtained through networking, whereas if you apply online, only 2% of applicants are actually contacted for an interview. So you have a much better chance of finding a job through networking. And networking doesn't just mean having a conversation with people that you already know. Networking can be reaching out to somebody. It could be also just telling people about what it is that you're looking for. I've had some great stories of people who have been in unexpected places. So, for example, at a rock climbing gym, and having a conversation with the person next to them, telling them, oh, I'm actually in a job transition. Suddenly, the person next to them is the president of a company and they're hiring for the job that this person was looking for. And they ended up getting a job that way. So, networking doesn't have to be going into a room full of people and handing out business cards. Networking could also be one-on-one conversations or reaching out to somebody on LinkedIn. There are so many ways of doing it, but it has such a huge value on your job search currently, but also in the long term. You may make connections with people that you end up reaching out to for your next job. So anything that you can build now really does have a benefit on your long-term career. Number 4 is social media, and social media can be used in a lot of different ways to benefit your job search. So LinkedIn is a really easy one, and there's different ways that you can use it. You can, again, network, send messages, connect with people, follow companies and see what job postings they have. You can also interact with people's content. This is a great way of bringing visibility to yourself and bringing your name forward. So comment on somebody's posts, join a conversation. And then you can also post your own content. So if there's something that you are working on or that you're interested in that you would like to share with other people, that's a great thing, because then other people interact and it just increases the visibility for you. Number 5 is immersion. And this is something that a lot of people don't think about when they're thinking about their job search. But immersion basically is completely immersing yourself in the world. So once you've created a targeted area that you want to work in, so let's say you choose an industry that you want to work in, immerse yourself within that industry or that job to learn all sorts of things, which helps you in your interviews, helps you to build more confidence in yourself. It's like if you were trying to learn a language, you would immerse yourself in that culture. You would talk to people who spoke that language. You would read books. You would watch videos. And so the same kind of thing happens in your job search. If I wanted to be within the finance world, listening to podcasts, watching YouTube videos, talking to other people about finance, all of those things can really help you to increase your confidence and help you to show up a little bit more as more knowledgeable as you're going through your job search, whether you're networking or whether you're in an interview. And then finally, dealing with rejection. This is something that everybody deals with. Rejection is so common in the job search. And so if you have a strategy around how you're going to deal with rejection, that can really benefit you, because once your morale starts to decrease, it can really impact your energy and your ability to continue to put yourself out there. So first of all, knowing that rejection is very common is one of the great things, because then you can start to collect rejections, start to collect when people say no to you. And the more people that say no to you, there's going to be a yes in the future. Now, rejection also comes with information. So if somebody has given you any feedback, that's a great thing to implement, and it can just help you to move forward in your job search. So now you've done your discovery, you've got your personal brand, you've done your job search strategy, and you actually end up getting an interview. So the purpose of the interview is to showcase why you're the best fit for the role and how you can help the company. One of the things that I really like to tell people is to think of each job description as a problem that a company is trying to solve, and you are the solution to their problem. If your personal brand and the stories that you tell in the interview don't match with how you can actually solve the problem, then you're not going to be called back for a second interview. So the key thing that you want to remember is, how am I solving the problem, and how can I give evidence that they can believe me and know that I can do the job and also fit with the team. So the methodology for going into an interview is consider your personal brand, consider who you want to be in that interview, do your research, not just on the company, but also on the interviewers. Know your audience. Who are you speaking to? Are you speaking to a recruiter? Are you speaking to a hiring manager? Are you speaking to a CEO? Each of those people have different problems that they're trying to solve. So if you know and think a little bit about what their role entails and what kind of information they would be looking for out of you, that can really help you to get through each of the interviewing processes. Next is know your stories. And this ties back to your personal brand, because basically interviews are a collection of stories, and the stories are the evidence that you can do the job. So as much as you can include some information about why you're a great fit from your past, and this can also include transferable skills. So if you're transitioning industries completely, having transferable skills is incredibly important to pay attention to. Next, solve a problem. So we've already talked about this, the job description is a problem that people are trying to solve, and make yourself the solution to that problem. Have confidence. It's really important to believe in yourself. So again, the discovery piece, the personal branding, and the job search strategy really helps you to have confidence in what you have to offer and the value that you bring to the company. Use the job description as your guide. It's kind of like a cheat sheet. It has the information about what you're going to be doing. It has information about the qualifications that they're looking for. And so if you create your stories around the job description, that can, again, just showcase why you're the solution to their problem and help you to be called back for a second interview. And then finally, ask great questions. This is something that can sometimes be overlooked. Asking great questions, maybe people will come up with a few and then they'll ask them at the end, but it's an opportunity for you to stand out. If you ask a really great question that an interviewer has to think about, or later on they're like, wow, that was a really great question, that is just another opportunity to stand out. So spend some time thinking not just about the day-to-day types of questions that you can ask, but think also about strategic questions. Think about, where's the company going? How can I show that I'm interested in where the company is headed? And that can really help you. So now you've interviewed, you've gotten an offer, you're about to negotiate, and then you accept the offer. So first of all, celebrate. It's amazing. You've received an offer. That's fantastic. The next thing you want to focus on is negotiation. And the purpose of this is to create a win-win. And what I mean by that is, when a company is paying you what you're worth and what you're comfortable with, you're going to be happier. Your morale is going to be higher. You're going to interact with the people around you better. You might stay at the company for longer. So just because you are getting an offer doesn't mean that you have to take the first thing that somebody offers you. So how you want to do this is, number one, do your research, understand what the industry norms are, understand what people at your level are making. It can be a little bit challenging to find the information, but you can get a general idea online. Next thing you want to do is prioritize the compensation and benefits for you. So some people might prioritize vacation time over some of the other benefits. If base pay is the most important to you, then focus on that in your negotiation, but have the others in your back pocket to negotiate with. And then finally, don't be afraid to ask for what you want. It can be so challenging, especially because people are afraid that someone's going to take the offer back if they say the wrong number. But a really great tip for this is to start off by saying, is there room to negotiate? So if somebody gives you an offer and you say, is there room to negotiate? If the answer is yes, great. You have a conversation about it. If the answer is no, great. You know that they're at their max, which is absolutely fine too. Sometimes companies have a specific number that they're not able to go into, and it means that they've already given you their highest offer. So it's great to just ask the question, and there's no harm in doing that. And then finally, so you've negotiated, you have an offer that you're happy with, you accept and give your notice, and you're ready to start the job. The first 90 days is extremely important, and it's really helpful to set a solid foundation for your time within the role, which increases the likelihood of promotion and referral. So the first 90 days is sort of like the trial, not necessarily a trial period, but trial period for you. You're starting to get your footing, you're asking a lot of questions. And the methodology here is to really be curious and open to learning. Be a sponge. Ask as many questions as possible. Once you have the information, then you're better able to do your job, which is the second point, which is understand your job mandate. You want to make sure that you know what it is that you are trying to accomplish and be really clear with your manager, your boss, of what that job mandate is and how you are being tracked, or how you are being, I'm missing the word, but how you are being tracked basically of your goals. You also want to build a support system. So the early days are a really great time to find out who your cheerleaders are going to be, who the people who might want to argue with you or not see your point of view, and then build friends as well as other supporters in different departments. It's a great time, especially in the first couple of weeks when you're not really that busy, to reach out to other people and start building some of those relationships by going for coffee and things like that. You want to start creating early wins. This is to showcase that you are a great hire and that you are going to be successful in the role. So find little things that you can do and make sure that you are sure that people see that you've done them. Think differently. So when you're moving into a role, sometimes the role is different from what you've been doing in the past. So if you move into a manager role from, say, an analyst role, you need to think differently. The thinking that made you successful in one role won't necessarily make you successful in the next role. So consider what that job mandate is, consider what's most important, and then shift your thinking a little bit. And then finally, give yourself some grace. It is a challenging time when you're starting something new. So be sure that you're not being too hard on yourself, because everybody becomes a beginner at some point, and it can be really tough when you've been an expert for so long to be starting something new. But everybody is there. You were there before your last job. So just give yourself grace and know that it will get easier. And the bonus phase is learning and growth. So after the first 90 days, how can you continue to challenge yourself? Where do you want to grow? Are there any passion projects that you can take on that help you to continue to increase your skills, or maybe do something that's a little bit outside of the norm? And then finally, when do you start the cycle again? There's a couple of different reasons why you would want to start the cycle again. Number one is if you plateau or you're feeling stagnant, you feel like you're not learning anything. Number two is if you're ambitious and you're curious. So you see something in your future that you really want to attain, that's a great time to start the cycle again. And really what you're doing is you're starting back at discovery and going through those questions again to understand what your new target is. So the exercise that I have for you today is looking at the 6 phases. Where do you excel? Where do you struggle? What are you leaving out? The 6 phases are, again, discovery, personal branding, job search strategy, interviewing, offer, negotiation, and acceptance, and the first 90 days. And so if you find an area that you are not feeling super confident about, or you're finding that you're struggling, what steps can you take to improve that area to make the job transition process a little bit easier on yourself? And a day in the life of a job seeker. I know that it's not easy. It's sort of similar to entrepreneurship. This image was actually created for entrepreneurship, but it's very similar. I'm excited. This is hard. It's working. I messed up. Give up the good for the great. I think I'm going bankrupt. So all of these are totally normal. Be very gentle on yourself and just know that something will come. This is a transitionary period, and really appreciate every stage that you're going through. So if anybody has any questions, I am happy to answer some. And if you'd like to connect with me, you can find me at careerbalancecoaching.com. You can find me on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. Thanks so much, Sandra. And thanks everyone for your comments in the chat. That's fantastic.